What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 3 of the Star Podcast. Got my man, Coach Cam, over here, our co-host, and then we have a special guest today, Power 4 Syracuse football recruiter, Coach Kelly. Going to drop some insane recruiting tips. We're going to stay away from the crazy college football recruiting news today because, we could have a full episode on the craziness that happened in the college football world this weekend. But I want to make this episode super, super valuable for you guys, especially for my young recruits looking to play Division I football. It's not often we get a Power 4 coach in the house talking about the insights of what it takes to be a D1 recruit, what it takes to play at a school like Syracuse, and what they're actually looking for and what they're not looking for, to kind of cut through the nonsense of the crazy recruiting process. But with that being said, welcome my man, Coach Kelly. Thank you for being here.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on.
All right, let's jump into this, man. So I want to start with a first question. So I think a lot of high school kids tend to get it mixed up. And you watch tape for a living. Cam watches a bunch tape. I watch a bunch tape. A lot of kids think that they are elite because they're the best on their team. But how hard actually is it to play Power 4 football and be a Power 4 recruit coming out of high school?
Yeah, it's super hard. There's like that one graphic that makes its round on social media all the time, and it's like there's only like one guy on his high school team who go on to play college football. That guy will go on to play college football, and then there's only like one out of thousands of guys that end up making it to the NFL. And then once you get to the NFL, like the average career length is like 3 years, and then the guys that end up going 10+ years, that's like 0.001%. So definitely super hard. A lot of it comes down to size and speed. A lot of stuff that like you're just blessed with genetically. That has a big part into it. But if you do have a good work ethic, keep good faith. I mean, a lot of things can be possible for you.
Sure, sure. And what advice would you give to a recruit who might be an elite player on their team? They come from a school where they're not putting out elite recruits all the time. They might think that they're a Syracuse level player, but they might just be an FCS level player. They might even be a D2 scholarship player. So what advice would you give to a player who's legit, who might not have, the insights or actual people who know what they're talking about in their corner, when it comes to the recruiting process, even though everyone's saying you're the best kid that this has ever came through this high school? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of your content, and you talk about how guys need to present themselves on social media, which is a big part. I mean, Twitter's like the biggest tool that we use to find guys. It's how you present yourself. Make your account easy to look up. Put your graduating class in your bio. Put your height and your weight, and typically everyone lies about their height and weight, but we'll end up finding out on visits. Put any information that can help you get recruited. Track times, what other sports you play, your huddle link, highlights from your last game, like individual game highlights. We've offered guys based off being able to windmill dunk, and do crazy athletic things like that. High jump. Oh, here's a video of me high jumping 6'8". It's like, well, that's super rare. That's hard to do, especially at your size. So doing stuff like that, how you present yourself, your GPA in your bio, like that's huge, right? Like anything that comes to that. So it's really how you present yourself. Put in as much information in your profile as you can that'll help you get recruited.
Right. And kind of going off of that, I'm a film guy. Isaac watches a lot of film. It's what we do. And you guys watch a lot of film as well. And so what are some big, I'd say red flags, some indicators of, hey, this guy is probably not what we're looking for? Say you're evaluating, I know it goes position by position, but say you're evaluating maybe a linebacker.
Mhm.
What is something there that says, hey, this guy's probably not cut out to play over here?
Gotcha. So first thing is size, and that's like the big thing. Track times, not a lot of linebackers end up do run track. You know, that typically is not really a huge factor. If you do run track and you run a really good time, that can help your case. For linebackers, one thing I really look for is guys that deliver knockback on contact. A lot of guys don't run their feet. A lot of the guys reach, lean, and just collect at the point of attack. That's probably like the biggest thing for linebacker play is delivering knockback, driving them back, or are you the one getting knocked back? So, and like playing violent, playing quick, downhill, disruptive, like our guy Antoine Delorier in the 25 class. That's a freshman here that's making plays for us now. Like his first play of his junior highlight tape, he's just coming downhill and rocking a dude. Like, and he played, sideline to sideline. And Antoine, he's known for being the big muscular dude, right? Too, like just physically looking the part. So stuff like that.
So let's just say you don't have any background information on a recruit. I slap a highlight tape in front of your face. You're going through it. Obviously, depends based on the position, but like, what what are the key attributes outside of, so you're going to look at size, but like, is it a situation where you can watch the first 3 plays and just say, this kid is legit. This kid's a
Yeah,
dog.
like you could say he's like a 1 clip guy, 2 clip guy, right? One of our guys in the scout department, Zach Williams, I think he has like a 30-second rule. Like, 30 seconds. If you don't wow or flash or do something like crazy and you keep watching it and it's like, that's not really a highlight play, or if there's a highlight tape, it might be like 6 minutes long, but then he's got like 3 plays at the start of it that are really good, and then everything else is kind of just like a tackle. It's not really like a highlight clip. It's kind of like, it's not really that deep of a tape. So, but yeah, there's guys that are like right away. It's like, wow. So
Gotcha. No,
it's the
that's
guys
what's
like
up, man. That is huge because
I was gonna say, like
go for it.
it's about like making the hard look easy, making one-handed catches like over guys in traffic, or completing a catch while taking a big hit and then doing a spin move off that and then hurdling a guy. Like there's some stuff. We watch so much film. I mean, it's crazy. Like you introduced me as a guy that gets to watch film for a living, which I'm definitely blessed to be able to do that. But we watch like so many different games, like the NFL. Like this, we're about to get a 1 o'clock slate here, shortly, and we're gonna have a whole day of 16 games, and there'll be some crazy plays that are talked about all week. But I mean, high school football, there's hundreds, thousands of games getting played across the country, and you see so many different things go on and on. So some crazy stuff happens.
Yeah, uh, for sure. So, I mean, the tape is definitely important. How, as we've transitioned into kind of a new era of college football per se, how big of an emphasis is there on the camps that you guys place nowadays?
Camps
Is
are
it the
like
same old? Is it all?
camps are like everything for us, because like guys can end up going to like an Under Armour camp and putting up numbers, but a lot of that stuff like we kind of take with a grain of salt, because it's like it's not our equipment. We don't know if there's like any politics involved. Not saying there is or isn't, but you never know with something like that. Like when it comes to our camps, like our machines are our machines, our lasers, our stopwatches are our coaches. There's like it's just like a reliability thing, and we're going off our stuff. And like we've had guys measure at a camp, 6'5", like at an Under Armour camp, and then they come here and they're 6'1", 6'2". So a lot of that stuff is taken with a grain of salt. But you come to our camp and we've offered guys, we've taken commitments from guys coming to camp. We've taken guys commitments based off how they camp, and I've seen guys, they play high school quarterback and they'll come here and try out at different positions that we see them, and we'll be able to get them offered and stuff like that. So it's really being able to see a guy compete in person, and then being able to see how he looks physically, how he tests numbers wise. All that stuff is pretty important. Our camp turnouts are really good. We've had hundreds of guys come to our camps, and
What do y'all test specifically?
so our camps this past summer, they come in, they get measured right away, do a vertical broad jump. We did like this triple jump, which is basically like 3 back-to-back or 3 back-to-back broad jumps, 40. And then we don't test shuttle, but there's like a drill where we do the shuttle, and we film all of it too, so we can go back and watch it. But that's really like all the testing we do.
Yeah,
So
gotcha.
at the Power 4 level, at the biggest levels, Coach Kelly, when does the recruiting process start? I know it can vary for different players. I know there's, some juniors who you guys see early on who are like, hey, this kid's got a shot. This kid is showing out. But when does the process typically start for a lot of the recruits that you guys are getting over there?
I mean, personally, like I find early identification, or I take pride in the whole early identification process. I love to be first on a guy. So as early as their freshman year, there's some rare cases where they are in eighth grade and they are just like an absolute no brainer, and they'll get an offer from us. I mean, it's kind of funny. Like we even have like youth camps. Like Coach Fran, he's like, well, these guys are in third grade. By the time it's their time to come around and decide where to go to school, I mean, we'll be in good graces. So you never can really start too early. We want to be able to show just everyone when they come in, whether it's a youth camp, whether it's a prospect camp, like what Syracuse is about, how we are as a staff, and yeah.
I think that's so important as someone who works with a lot of high level recruits is like, I think the biggest leg up you'll ever get in the recruiting process, especially if it's a kid who gets 40 offers, is getting an offer from his dream school that he grew up watching, that he grew up going to, that he grew up like being like, man, I can't wait to go to Syracuse. Like it would be my absolute dream to play for Syracuse. Like he might have an Alabama offer, he might have a Georgia
Yeah,
offer, but he's like, I've always dreamed of playing for Syracuse University. So I think it's so
yeah.
important that you guys do start that process as young as that, because you can't, when you're young that, like you can't beat going to Syracuse facilities and doing a camp. Like that could be a start for your dream throughout the rest of your
Yeah.
career.
Oh, dude, the youth camp this summer, they're like, "Yo, I wanna come here. This is where I'm coming." And they're in, like, 6th grade. It's like, that's really cool to see, but we ended up taking 4 guys from Syracuse, in the 25 class. So, like, if we're taking 4 in that class, you never know, 5 years from now, that kid that was here in 6th grade camping had a good time. He's like, "Oh, I wanna come to Syracuse." And he might end up blowing up and getting every offer, so it is important.
I know that just circling back on the in-state stuff, getting kids that dream of playing for Syracuse. I know Coach Fran, he's from Georgia.
Yeah.
He coached
Coach of Georgia,
recently
yeah.
at Georgia. How heavily do you guys lean on those Georgia connections or those Georgia pipelines, or does it just depend on the kid
It
and
really
just
just
go
depends
case
on
by
the
case?
kid. We really wanna hit, the home state, home area, and we end up going to other states for difference makers is what we say. When we were at Georgia, the way we wanted to recruit was like, "Hey, like, we wanna be able to take care of what's our backyard, take care of that, and look for difference makers in other places." But we ended up taking Gabe Daniels in the 25 class last year. He's a receiver from Greater Atlanta Christian, but yeah, it really just kind of depends. It's not like we're like Bliss in Georgia. It's like we're not really like selling the whole like he coached at Georgia kind of thing. But yeah,
So when it comes to a kid and all of these invites that they get and all of these camp invites and junior day invites and all this stuff, like tell us how important it is for you guys, because I know you guys are deep on this. I know you have, there's specific exceptions. I think one of them easily is Florida. It doesn't take much to say that this is an exception. I think that's a unique state itself. But for kids to realize how important that regional recruiting is, especially with the new transfer portal, like if you need, a quarterback or if you need a wide receiver, you can get somebody from a different school, from a lower level school to come in state. But when it comes to high school football recruiting and you guys only taking a certain amount of recruits, how important is it for local recruits to understand that their best shot of playing college football can likely be at the local schools, that they don't need to travel across the country unless it's
yeah.
this school is going to offer you, this school has been blowing you up constantly, but touch on that a little bit.
We'll even use that as a little bit of a tiebreaker. Like if there's a kid in Florida we really like, but we feel like there's a guy here in Jersey, New York that's equally as good. We'll end up taking a guy that's closer to home. I don't know the specific numbers off the top of my head, but I mean, we took 33 guys, which I think was like the most in the country last year out of high school. Like 24 of them were probably like from the Northeast. I think we had like 9 from Florida. We do have a lot of Florida ties. Like Coach Fran, when he was at Georgia, he did recruit Florida heavily. So it's more so like that. We use that connection. Our general manager, Tommy Caparelli, he was a high school coach down in Miami. He knows a lot of Florida guys, so we use like relationships like that. Guys on staff. It's more so like the backgrounds of the guys on staff. Like we have a couple position coaches that ended up growing up in Cleveland, Ohio. We're recruiting Cleveland pretty heavy, and that's only like a 4-hour drive. Obviously, Coach Fran, South Jersey. Coach Dennis Thomas, our assistant tight ends coach, South Jersey. And we can go on and on about a lot of guys ended up. Coach Nunn's a quarterback coach from North Jersey.
Gotcha. So kind of building off of that, going back to the young recruits, you said some, ninth graders get started early, even some eighth graders get started early. So let's just say you're one of those eighth graders. You're from a nobody school, but you're huge, or you're a freak athlete, or even you're just trying to get started on the recruiting process early. What is the best industry standard to get started early on the recruiting process? And like, what would your best advice be for very talented eighth graders and ninth graders who can't necessarily talk to college coaches online, but can do certain things? Like, what does that look like for you guys? Is that going to, Under Armour Next camp? Is that going to Rivals camp? Is that coming to you guys to go to camp? What does that look like?
I think it's the ability to create as much exposure as possible. They should have a really good relationship with their coach, someone that's able to reach out to college coaches like me. You do a lot with younger guys when you've played middleman and being able to connect on the phone, which I really appreciate that. So have a mentor like that, and then like you said, Under Armour Next camps. That's like a middle school, eighth grade camp. Go to spring ball practices. Go to as many schools as you can. Try to reach out because a lot of those are like invite only. So it's not like you could just like go to Alabama practice or like hit them up or like us as well. But if you have a good relationship with your head coach, they're able to reach out and say, "Hey, I got a guy." A lot of the times, like more often than not, like we're able to say, like, "Hey, yo, come up for practice," and you should do that for all levels. You should shoot for the big school. Schools like Temple, UMass. You should camp at all those schools. You should visit them all in the spring. You should go to game day visits if they're local. It's kind of funny when I was a student at Clemson, and I tried out for the football team there, and all I did it for was trying to get in front of the coaches to get a job with the football team. That's really what essentially recruits should do. You just need to be able to get in front of these coaches, and like you said, for those freaks that are in 8th and 9th grade, those ones will really stand out. And it's like, oh wow, you're in 8th and 9th grade, and you're 6'4", 190 pounds already. It's like, wow, you're gonna be somebody.
There's a saying that I'm sure Isaac was told too, that if you're good, they'll find you.
Yeah.
If you're good, if you can ball, and you'll get picked up. Because I feel like that's still preached a lot. How important do you think, or is that true, or to some degree, to where these kids really need to take ownership of your exposure and control what you can control with these camps and getting your Twitter bio straight, all those sorts of things? Is that true at all, or what are your thoughts?
Oh, it's definitely true. Like, there's different methods. I mean, we use a whole bunch of different softwares, and there's different search engines, and there's different filters you can sort by. And a lot of times, like I think with me being at Georgia, I've been able to. I know what like it looks like. So I think, because like at Georgia, you're just recruiting the best players across the country, regardless. We would recruit Iowa. We would recruit, Arizona. I think just having like the eye for like what like it looks like helps me. And um, you can just mass watch a whole bunch of guys. I mean, in a given day, I mean, we end up watching like 50 guys that come across my desk, and then over a week, it's 350 guys. And we have
So
we have a
once you
scout department. I was gonna say we have a scout department full of guys too. I want to be able to name drop all of them. Tony Giovanoli, Aaron Manici, he's our director of scouting. Mike Ramirez, Trent Sherman, Charles Watkins, Tyshawn Davis. He's a former player here. Stack Williams, mentioned him. Manny Mark and Jared Hackmar. We all do a good job. So I just name dropped a whole like 10 guys. So we're all like mass watching guys all the time. Coach Fran, he sets a high. Because like we have the saying "dart here." Those are our values. Relentless is what R stands for. So like we got to relentlessly like go through all this film, because our impact and who we are able to find could be a player that ends up making a play in a big game later on down the road. So we want to attack and watch as many people as we can, and feels like it gives us a good chance of getting those guys if we're on them early too.
Yeah, so once you do identify a prospect, what does that process look like, the P4 level? You've identified him. Obviously, the rules change, NCAA rules. Let's say it's a kid you have, full go over. You can talk to this kid, no worries whatsoever. What does that process look like for you?
First thing we want to do is get you on campus, and it kind of just depends on what type of year it is. Like if you're in the spring, come to spring practice. If it's summer, come to camp. If it's this time of year in the fall during the season, come to a game day visit. That's usually the next step, and then we're communicating with you. We're getting you in touch with our coaches and just building that relationship, and then it's kind of just goes from there. If you're a guy we want to take a commitment from, you're a guy we want to take a commitment from. So yeah, get on campus, then we'll decide to either offer you, not offer you, and then it kind of just the recruiting plan kind of goes for that. I mean, like there's guys now, since it's fall and camp is so far away. Like you're a guy we might identify now, and you might have to camp a year from now before we end up offering you or taking your commitment. So a lot of the stuff, I mean, really, it is all about like timing. And sometimes, like in a class, like we can end up filling up at a position, and you might have been the next guy up, but it's like we're full, and it's not that like we didn't like you or not. It's just like it just is what it is. There's only so many limited spots.
That's that uncommittable offer versus committable offer discrepancy.
There's that. I mean, we try to lean more committable. There are some uncommittable offers, of course. Typically, like the earlier ones, we don't want like if we offer you as a freshman or sophomore, you probably don't want to have you commit right there. But usually like, later on, like if you're a senior and we offer you, I guess a little bit different than offering you as a freshman. It's typically that's probably like most spots too. A lot of other schools.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and we kind of brushed on this before we started recording, but just the process of a lot of kids getting early offers, and they might even get rated by these national outlets, and then they just kind of flatline throughout the rest of their career. So there's pros to getting offers early, but you know, that's a standard that you have to live up to. And I think that it's very important for everybody. I mean, you always want to be striving for greatness for sure, but I think a lot of the young kids who tend to get big time offers, they get stationary, they flatline, they think they're where they need to be, and they're a freshman in high school. And the other reason they have an offer is because they've shown something, like Coach Kelly said, that
Yeah.
popped on film, but you have to continue to pop on film in order to actually secure those offers and make them a spot where you can actually commit to down the road.
What we were talking about with the huddle, if I'm watching it and it's like, wow, that's really impressive to do as a freshman, then all of a sudden you're a junior in high school now and you didn't really improve, or like you said, like flatline. I mean, I don't know how to cut it to you. You just didn't do your part in getting better. A lot of this stuff is it's like a projection based business. Like a lot of times, like we'll end up offering guys or we'll take guys, and it's not really about like what you're doing right now. It's like what we think you can do once you get here, once you get that full nutrition plan, weight strength plan, and coaching and development here. So
Right. So kind of going off of that and building off of what you were talking about, that different time, it's all about timing. What do you think the best year, or what do you think the best time of the year is to get an offer from school? I know there's offers that technically go out all year, but when do you think is the biggest time where you guys are actively giving out scholarship offers based on the evaluations you've done all year?
I think the biggest time for like offering is definitely in the like January to spring window.
Hmm.
Like during the season, it's kind of tough. Coaches are focused on coaching and they do some recruiting. A lot of it is just like calls and texts and contact. It's not really much like film watching. You know, we do that a lot here, but once we get to January, you know, we can go on the road, go to schools. Coaches go out on the road and they'll discover guys. They'll go to a school, go to a coach, and coach will be like, "Hey, I got this guy for you." And then it's like, "Yeah, come to spring ball practice." And then after spring ball, coaches can go out on the road and go to spring practices for high schools, and they can watch and evaluate talent on the road. And that's probably where we are most active. And February is a time of year where you know we're not on the road at all, but that is strictly evaluation. Everything like, for the scout department, like we are watching film, high school film, from 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day, and like nothing else. Because like this time of year, like we're cutting up film, watching game film, but like February is like the time like we're just trying to discover talent.
Internally, what does that process look like for you? So you're sitting there and your office on February, you're like, man, I got a kid. I got a wide receiver. What does the process look like? You give him a check. Does he have to get bumped up the chain? Does he have to get watched by the whole staff before you guys go out and give him an offer? What does that look like?
Yeah, typically like we got a chain of command, like us scouting assistants, you know, we dabble in different areas, different positions, but then like it goes upward. Like Aaron Manichi's our director of scouting, like we'll be pounding his desk like, hey, you gotta check this guy out, man. And then you know we have a general manager and then like position coaches as well. So yeah, we here at Syracuse, everyone's involved with like the evaluation. Like coaches have a heavy part, scouting department has a heavy part. But yeah.
Right.
What does college football look like now versus 3 years ago? You were a guy who's been in this scouting for a while. You were at the University of Georgia with Coach Fran, and now college football is crazy. We have the transfer portal, we have NIL. What was the biggest differences for you as a scout, as a Division I scout? You were a P4 scout, then you're a P4 scout now, but obviously we're in a completely different landscape of college football. What is that? What is that to you?
I think there's a whole aspects that a lot of teams are doing. Like you got to recruit your own players, retain your own players. When you commit to go somewhere and you sign there, the school has to uphold what they were on their end, what they were saying on their end. Like if a kid's not getting enough playing time, like he's got to get more playing time or he's out. And it's like it's crazy because like you said, a couple years ago, you were just signing up for the school and you were really sticking it through, and you're there for like the love of the program and everything. But I mean, we've seen some crazy situations like with the whole UCLA quarterback Tennessee swap, right? I mean, there was like a holdout that it was really like a holdout, and then Tennessee's coach was like, "Well, we're not really doing that. That's not how things work here." And so then he ended up hitting the portal, and then UCLA's guy hit the portal, and then they swapped teams, which is pretty crazy. They essentially had to trade. It was essentially the first trade
Yeah.
in college football. I don't think we'll ever get to that aspect. Hopefully, you know, where we're like trading guys because with the way academics work and credits and all that.
So during the season, then from a scouting standpoint, just with this whole player retention, are you guys then actively scouting or having a basically a list ready of guys that could hit the portal that are either current Power 4 guys, or maybe they're playing smaller school ball, maybe a D3 or D2 school or something. How much are you guys emphasizing that or leaning on the portal as opposed to the standard high school recruiting methods, as you
I
guys
would
know?
I would say we're probably more on the reactive side when it comes to the portal. Usually when guys are already on the way, or in the portal, doing it the right way, making sure that they're in the portal. You got to go through the system and check that they're actually in it before you can actually make contact and stuff. So we don't place a big emphasis because a lot of times if you were to do that, like a lot of this like advanced scouting of portal guys, like, they end up not going to the portal anyways. It's just kind of view it as like a waste of time, honestly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Gotcha. So Syracuse, obviously upstate New York, not known to be a football region. I'm an upstate New York guy myself, but what is Syracuse doing to land big recruits? Because you guys have had some pretty major recruits commit in the past and even presently. So what are you guys doing to land big recruits? What's the messaging like? Like what's Coach Fran doing? I know some insights from the guys who you guys have recruited that are with us, but what does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, I really think Coach Fran, the way that he is authentic and really down to earth and really relatable with a lot of recruits. I think that's really like, the main thing. I mean, he's like the driving force behind all of this. And our culture is dart, detailed, accountable, relentless, and tough. And that's the way we got to live as players, coaches, scouts. Like detailed. I want to be detailed in my reports. I want to be accountable. Like, is my hit rate of my evals, like, am I hitting on all those? I'm relentless. Am I watching as many guys as I can and tough. Like sometimes like it gets draining like watching film over and over again, but you just got to stick through it, right? So, we got to apply that to our lives. Recruits really resonates to them, and it's like in the classroom too, like detailed, accountable, relentless, and tough. With your faith, detailed, accountable, relentless, and tough. Like the way that we go about that is it. It's not really just a football thing, but it's like an everyday life thing. And we also have another saying here: CCT, committed, care, and trust. And Coach Fran, like he's big on like you could say you're committed, you could say you care about it, but like it's your actions that really show it. So those are the things that we're looking for in guys, and what these recruits need to be looking for in schools. And I really think just the way that Coach Fran, his leadership and everything that he is doing to lead this program, I think that's really what separates. I think a lot of people just want to play here because of him and because of the people that we have here. We just got a brand new facility as well, opened up last March. It's beautiful. That's where I'm sitting right now, right? So blessed to be able to. I mean, it's a great facility, man. Great. So we have a movie theater, we got a players lounge, we got brand new locker room, new weights. It's crazy. So
This is more of just you go 1,000 places with this question, but what is, because I feel like when I was going through the recruiting process, you got advice from 1,000 different directions, and this was before really social media took off. Where
mhm.
you like Isaac out here giving us advice on what to do and how to get recruited. What's the worst advice you've heard, maybe from a parent or just somebody in the industry, as far as how to get noticed, that you see tripping up a lot of kids in their hopes of playing at the next level?
Worst advice. I don't know if it's like considered like the worst advice, but like coaches that bring you guys and say like, "Oh, this is a guy, I swear by it," and then like you turn on the film and it's like you're clearly not a guy. Like the coach is almost like setting the kid up for failure. Like you should probably be leaning more towards FCS or D2 NAIA level. Yeah, coaches kind of like overselling guys is pretty annoying, and then you kind of like lose trust with that coach. So anytime that coach tries to bring you a guy there on out, it's like I don't know if I should take your words.
Yeah, that is so true. That's kind of brushing up on what I was talking about earlier. Like, you have a kid who, and the coach might think he's the best player he's seen in 5 years. He might think he can play at Alabama, but when you look on a broader scale, you just can't do that, first off. And like with what I do, it's very important because I talk to college coaches like you all the time. Like, it's so important that I'm not wasting your time. I mean, dude, you're watching a ton of film. Like, you don't need to be watching an FCS recruit. You don't need to be watching a D2 recruit because
Mhm.
that's not your job. And it's not your job to tell someone like me, hey, this kid isn't good for us. So it's very, very important as well. Even for people listening, like people who want to do, what I'm able to do. Like, you have to build trust with coaches by sending them players who are actually potentially going to be recruited at that level. And if you don't, then it's never going to work out. And that's why we don't, like, over here at 5 Star Football Recruiting, we don't do any like pay to play. Like, if you're not legit, you can't work with us because I don't have the ability to put you in front of a school like Syracuse and you go, yeah, I don't like that kid. Not only does it not benefit you, but it ruins our reputation as well.
Yeah, that's why I like being on a podcast like this. I like talking to you. I mean, try my best. I told you I'm terrible at answering text, but I try to, we have that relationship where it's like you have guys, you've presented me guys, and there'll be times where you have a guy and you're like, well, I don't know if he's quite, a Syracuse level player, but like, hey, I'll send you over his huddle. Let me know your thoughts. There's other guys that we've looked at, and it's like they're no brainer offers. So that's pretty cool. Like from your standpoint, you probably represent a whole bunch of different guys, big range of talent levels. But you do a great job of like, hey, this is a guy for you. Um, so that's why I like talking to you, man.
You gotta be a follow-up master as well too. I am the master of all
Yeah,
follow-up.
yes, great follow ups because hey, gotta be able to follow up. Gotta be able to follow up.
That's a good piece of advice for recruits too. Look, so let's say I don't know if you've ever actually had this happen to you. Let's say you're a big Virginia guy. You have a recruit out of Virginia, kid's legit. You don't know about him. You find him through your DMs. Like, have you ever had a kid who's followed up multiple times, knocked on your door, and you just don't see it because that's just something I want to build off is like what your Twitter DMs look like. Like he's sent
Yeah.
you so many follow-ups that eventually you watch the film and you're like, oh, I didn't realize this was a kid who we'd be interested in.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of like a lot of if I don't follow you, they go to my message requests. But then like sometimes I'll end up coming across the guy, and it's like, oh, you've DM'd me 8 times, and I haven't seen them because they all go to my my archives or my message requests. I don't really get to see them. Now that I follow you, I'm able to see your messages come in. But that is kind of funny. Or like you kind of stumble across the guy. It's like he already follows me on Twitter. And then it's able, I'm able to follow him back, and then it's easy communication if they're a junior or senior.
I stress that with my guys a lot. Like, if you're a dude who we're confident can play at a level, or even if you're a kid who's not working with us and you're just a beast, like, reach out to coaches over and over again. Now, understand the recruiting, the NCAA recruiting calendar. I'm sure you get so many 2029s who are blowing you up, or
Oh yeah,
2029s, freshmen,
yeah,
eighth graders. You cannot talk to them, and they're just continually
yeah,
like, "Hey, coach. Hey, coach. Hey, coach. Hey,
yeah,
coach."
yeah. So you gotta end up hitting their coach up. There are definitely some instances of that for sure. I say, yeah, I can't hit you back, bro, but I'll hit the coach up, and they usually do a good job of getting us in touch.
So, is it important for a kid like that to have his head coach's phone number in his bio?
Yes, if obviously like through their permission to have it, because I don't know. I mean, that number can end up everywhere. And then I was gonna say on the flip side though too, sometimes there are kids that obviously they're obviously like not a guy. They might be across the country, too small, too slow, whatever, and they might just be a different level of football, and they're just constantly trying to hit me up, and it's like, all right, hey. Now you should be reaching out to coaches of all different levels, of course, but I think a big point of it, like what you're saying, is like be realistic with your with like your goals. I think you should always have big goals, shoot for the stars, land on the moon. But you got to be realistic with yourself for sure.
That's why we do free evaluations. We do free baseline evaluations in our app. You get a tag, you get either a G6 tag. And if you're a G6 guy and you want to reach out to P4 schools, great. But that's why we do that, is because there are some kids who are delusional, but they don't know any better. They just don't know any better.
That's actually a great idea for service. I'll tell you that. I haven't even really thought about that, but like having someone that's not a college coach, be able to tell you, hey, like this is what I think, because that's how you present yourself, right? So if you're a kid that's a lower than a G6 and you're trying to go P4, it's like you're just looking kind of silly. But the fact that you have something where hey, we're being real with you, man. You might not have the measurables, you might not have the speed, but it's actually a great idea.
Yeah. So as far as, because it's gonna happen pretty fast. Where now all of a sudden we're in the spring and where all these kids are trying to figure out what to do with the off season. How much I know there's a lot of 7-on-7 teams. I know FU does a lot of stuff. I'm sure that Under Armour and Nike have their teams, or Team USA, all those teams. How do you guys care about that at all, or is it something that doesn't help, but it doesn't necessarily hurt when it comes to
I think it's
recruiting?
one of those things that it can help a little bit. It's not like the end all be all. Like we have a 7-on-7 tournament ourselves. We're able to see you in person. That goes to that. But if it's one of these, like I turn on the TV and you're on ESPN or NFL Network on a 7-on-7, there's no way to like really get that film and to be able to evaluate it. I guess you can just watch it on TV. But like in terms of like spring, like Isaac, you were talking about like playing multiple sports. Like that is super important. Doing track. track and field, shot put, discus, 100-meter, 200-meter, even winter track, 55-meter, 60-meter, competing in all that. If you're an offensive lineman, you should be playing basketball, right? That's probably more important because that's like getting those different movements and different skills can help you with your football game. Like an offensive lineman, if you play basketball, it's like the footwork of playing down in the post, right? Body control, staying conditioned. Like a lot of guys, like for offensive linemen, body composition is important. Like you don't want a guy that's like a sloppy body. You want a guy that's pretty muscular and in shape. So playing basketball, running up and down the court, that's going to help you. Dunking, all right, that's going to help with your explosiveness. If you're a really big offensive lineman, you should be able to dunk. Like that's a question like we ask guys like, yeah, can you dunk? Hey, send me a video. And then they don't, so.
Yeah. Or that, man, do you remember Tristan Wirfs from, I think he played at Iowa, maybe, but yeah, that video of him jumping out of the pool. Remember
Yeah,
that?
that's
Yeah.
impressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a lot
Stuff
of
like,
offensive linemen, they end up like wrestling too. I think Wirfs wrestled too. And Tyler Linderbaum, another Iowa guy.
probably.
They wrestled. That can teach you different things too, like just body positioning and stuff like that. Strength, core strength.
I feel like that was one of the biggest issues I had. So when I was coming out of, or in high school, I was just a football guy. So when I got, quite frankly, I wasn't a very good athlete, but I was smart and I knew how to work hard and all those sorts of things. And so I just lived in the weight room. And so I lifted, power lifted stuff, and I got really strong, ran a good 40 time, ran a good vertical, jumped a good vertical. But I feel like that's a lot of, and it's the strength coach's selling point too, right? These private guys that say, oh, you don't need to play a second sport. You'd benefit more just from spending every waking hour in the weight room.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something that you guys do definitely take into account, is that those track times and, again, basketball, wrestling, all those
sports. Because like when it comes to
Yeah.
like the whole like multi-sport versus specialization argument, like I was always like, I think I really changed my opinion in college. I was like a specialization guy. It's like, well, if I'm practicing this one sport all the time, like wouldn't you think you get really good at it? But really, if you play different sports, like you're just gonna get taught different movement patterns, and it helps with flexibility and stuff like that. So, and that's why it's super important. This like you can get a lot of that stuff like jumping in track, right? That's where you get a lot of
Yeah.
explosiveness. Basketball. So how many guys do we see like quarterbacks end up playing baseball? Like they grew up playing shortstop, right? How they're able to feel a ground ball and they're able to throw it sidearm, and change their arm angles. So
I don't know if you remember James Skalski, played for Clemson, linebacker.
yeah.
So he worked out in my gym. And so Skalski, he was a madman. He was a freak of nature in the
They play
gym.
like it too.
But he was also, not a lot of people know, he was also one of the best goalies in the state. He played soccer. And he was just an animal. And it was that movement of that lateral movement. Yeah. And it was something that obviously translated. And I think he loved doing it. I don't think he played a second sport because he wanted to do all those things that we're talking about. I think he genuinely loved soccer, but it did help him. He was really good.
I wonder how many penalty kicks he gave up from just like tackling dudes in the ball. Oh man, that's funny because I mean he played like a maniac. I mean he talked about a dude that came downhill and put his face on dudes.
Yeah, he was great player. He came in. I think he was probably 6 years older than me, and so he would come into the gym, and I'm in 8th grade. He's a senior. He would come in. He had that huge tattoo on his shoulder.
Yeah.
And he would go, and he had this cut off hoodie, and he would put the hoodie on. He looked like Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And he would go to the jump mats. We used the mats to train our vertical. He'd go to the jump mats, and he'd warm up, popping off like 6 35-inch verticals, and then he'd be ready to go. He was awesome.
Yeah, good dude.
So building off of what Cam said, Coach Kelly, do weight room numbers matter for high school athletes? When's the last time you asked for weight room numbers? We had a debate about this on our first podcast, so I'm very curious to hear from your perspective, because it's actually funny. I said they don't matter, and the very next day, I've never had anybody ask me, and then I had a G6 the next day ask me for a 2026 weight room numbers, and I'm like, man, I don't know if I should have said that, but what's your perspective?
I've actually never asked for weight room numbers. When I see a kid post his, like I sit next to Stack Williams, who his background is strength and conditioning coach. I'm like, yo, is this a good number? But it's funny. I kind of like use it's funny. I really got into like Coach Friend. He makes us work out 3 times a week as a staff. Like, we don't work out as a staff like together, but like we have a sheet we got to cross off every or 3 times a week, right? I know like how hard it is to bench like 225. I'm able to do it 5 times. And if you're like a 300-pound offensive lineman and I'm 26. These kids are 17, 18 years old, but like you're that big, and if you've actually been training for the past 4 or 5 years weightlifting, you should be able to do 225 a certain amount of times. Or like my max, I think I got up to at one point like 260, and I'm 5'10", 100. I was 200 pounds at the time. But like if you're a 300-pound kid and you're 6'5", and you can't bench press 260, it's like that I'm stronger than you. I don't even consider myself like a strong person. But it really, the way we view it is like, well, you're gonna come here, you're gonna get nutrition program, you're gonna get strength program here, or we'll be able to get you right. Some guys don't have access to that in high school, right? But really, there'll be a guy that he could bench press like 400 pounds. Like, wow, that's super impressive, right? But we don't really take it into account.
Well, you don't take it into account for a positive measure. It's not a big evaluation tool if they are strong. But to a guy like Stack, has he ever watched somebody's bench press or squat and been like, dude, this is pathetic. This is sorry. Like this is like a 13-year-old should be able to do this.
Yeah, it is funny. Yeah, Coach Shaq, it's great working next to him because like he's been able to get me right too, which is kind of funny. Like he's like, "Yo, do this." Like he has me do 135 on the bench press, like 25 for. He wants me to do 300 of those, like 12 sets of 25. I can only do 8 because like whatever. Coach Shaq, he's the best. There are some guys now that I think like he's like, "Yo, he could squat this much," and I'm like, okay. More so, he probably does it more, honestly, Coach Stacks. He probably, like, because that's how he's wired, is strength coach wise. But I don't know how many guys in recruiting are really, like,
So it's not really
weight
here
room
or
guys.
there if you're posting it on your Twitter or not. And because I'm just saying, like, I feel like some kids who have posted on Twitter, I've seen them post stuff like, and it's a matter of their overall athleticism. And I've seen guys post up.
Yeah.
I'm like, I actually think this is hurting your recruiting process and not benefiting your recruiting
Yeah,
process.
yeah. There's guys like that could really struggle, or maybe they can't show that they bend, or but then on the other spectrum, like Nick Chubb, I don't know if you remember a year or two ago, he's like squatting, he's got like this bar that like flexes, right, and he's squatting like 700 pounds. Like you do something crazy like that, it's like that's super impressive. Like I know that's me not being a weight room guy, I know that's super hard to do. That's super impressive.
So getting off the weight room topic, you talked about track times. For my skill positions, what are the standard track times? What are the best track times that you are looking for? Like what is a power 4 track time? And if you're not running that time, let's say you're over, does that mean it's over for you at the power 4?
So I don't think I can go into our specific numbers, but I could talk about some guys. We ended up taking in the 25 class, like Demetrius Samuel. Like he was a 6-foot kid, 190 pounds already, and he's only 17, or he just turned 17. He ran 10.5. So like that's a super good time. Rashawn Andrews, a little different. He's a kid who took the same class. He's 6'3", super, long arms, looks great physically. He ran an 11.1. So there's some forgiveness in that aspect. Like if you are bigger and have longer arms, you can have a little bit of a slower time. Then on the other end of the spectrum, someone like Davian Kerr, who is 5'11", he ran an 11 flat. That kind of doesn't really match up. Like he's on the shorter end. He's not the slower end, but it's a slower time for being small. But he had like crazy playmaking ability, his mentality, work ethic. So when it comes to the track times, if you have a bad time, there's always context too. Like there might be a kid that only ran one time and he ran an 11.6, and it's like, well, if he ran it one time, he probably runs a little bit faster if he took more training. A guy comes in and runs a 40. We actually film our 40s here. And it's how you run it. Like if you're running and you're not in a straight line and you run a 4.8, well, you could probably assume that's a 4.7. So a lot of that stuff's contextual. And if you run a time that's considered slower, you got to be able to make up for it in other aspects of your game. But what else was going to say? On the other end too, like you might run consistently like a 10. Say you run like 10.9. You run 4 races 10.9, and then you pop a 10.5. We'll probably assume you're a 10.8, 10.9, because with that race, it's like, was that wind aided? Was there something off with the timing? But if you run a certain time over and over and over again, and then you pop one that's like crazy, consider it an outlier.
Gotcha. So in terms of, so outside of that, outside of weight room numbers, outside track times, I just kind of want to go over some do's and don'ts of film. So we kind of are bringing it back a little bit. So what are some big things, as someone who watches a ton of film, what are some big mistakes that players make on their film? We kind of talked about organization the first 30 seconds. How do you feel about slow motion? How do you feel about chopping the tape. If you do have 30 seconds, you want to cram as many pieces of tape in there as you can. What are your thoughts on all that?
Where do I even start? There's a lot of do's and don'ts. Yeah, obviously you want to have your best plays, your wild plays at the start. You don't want to have like any average looking plays in front of plays. Like you might have a kid where his 16th play is a one-handed catch. It's like, why is that not in your top 5? So the order definitely matters. I've seen guys too where there's a quick cut at the end. So they're on defense, they intercept the ball, and then all of a sudden the ball hits their hands, and it's this. Well, I can go back in the huddle, I can watch that game tape, and I can see that you dropped that football. Like, so don't do anything like that. And then for O-line and D-line, like get off is so important. I've seen guys like the play starts, it's like, where's the guy at? And then he circles himself. Circle yourself at the start of the play. And then some of these arrows on huddle honestly do a poor job. A lot of them are like circles. Like if you're like a defensive end, you might use a circle, and you circle the whole D-line. It's like, well, which one are you? And then like for quarterbacks too, like if you throw like a bubble screen and it goes 80 yards, like that's cool. It goes down as an 80-yard touchdown. But in terms of evaluation, that's just a bubble screen. It's more of a highlight for your receiver. So props to you for showing him, but it doesn't really do you too much.
What about slow motion?
Oh, slow motion, terrible. Don't ever use it unless you want. I mean, nah, just don't use it. No, I was gonna say like if you show the play and then like you show it in speed, but it's not even enough because we want to see you play fast. So if you slow it down, even if it's like a one-handed catch, and they reach back, it's like, oh, slow motion, and then you bring it in. It's like, yeah, but I want to have that one speed. And some guys, you know what's crazy? Some guys speed up their tape, man. Some guys speed their tape up, and those people should never use huddle again. They should just, yeah, don't play
It's
football.
probably pretty tell that, right?
Yeah, the real big indicator is when you see like a 65-year-old ref backpedaling, and it looks really
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
So we could definitely spot, even if it's not like 2x speed where it's like super obvious, or they're trying to like 1.1, or like a lot of times you can see a scoreboard in the background, the clock's going fast. It's like there's some tricks that kids seem to use, but at the end of the day, we'll always find out. So
Yeah. How about the kids that have? I know a lot of guys that did this, and I'm not sure what to categorize this as, but the first 15 to 20 seconds of the huddle highlight reel is a bunch of graphics, and sometimes they'll give themselves nicknames. Say like there was a guy, his name was, I'm not going to say his full name just because I don't want to do him like that, but he gave himself whatever, like Johnny Touchdown was in quotes.
yeah,
His nickname, Williams or whatever. You're 20 seconds into watching the tape, and it took you another 10 seconds to find it and pull it up, and that's effectively 30 seconds that you've lost just looking at some garbage that doesn't matter.
yeah. Well, if your nickname is touchdown, well, you better be able to score some touchdowns. But a lot of times, I will say a lot of it can be useful. I've seen a lot of guys post like their accolades or their stats, or you're talking about like a head coach's number, a cell phone number. Like I've seen that. That's a kind of a good place to put it. Maybe not out front on your Twitter, right, in your bio, but more so like tucked in the huddle when someone's actually watching your tape and then they can actually see it. But guys do end up putting like, I've seen a slideshow of like 5 pictures in a row, and it's like just cut to the tape, man.
You don't think the photos help with the recruiting process?
It could if you look like the Hulk. But in that case, like Sean Oakman at Baylor, like if that looks like you, like post that picture, post 5 of them, man. In that case, yes, but
I'll tell you what's funny. How much do y'all rely on email if you get emails from kids with their film, or do you use it all?
email is probably a bad way to reach out, honestly.
Okay, so this makes the story that I'm about to tell you even worse then. But so when I was in high school, my dad was really involved on trying to get me recruited just because it was a big dream of mine. And so I was pretty good. But so, if you send out a certain number of emails, then whatever email service you use gets flagged as spam. And so what we did was we went out, we offshored some, it was like in India or something, an email company. And so it had a generic email. It had my huddle in it. It had a blurb, a little, just something about me. I was all state, all region, whatever. And so we would just mass send emails out without getting flagged as spam. And so we send, hundreds of emails a day, GAs, assistant coaches, whatever emails were publicly available. We would send those. I don't know how. It makes sense that it wasn't something that you guys use, but it was. We were all in, man. We were sending.
It was
emails.
crazy, man. I was kind of like in that boat too. After I graduated, because my timeline was all like messed up. So I graduated, months go by. I answered with the Buccaneers, which was pretty cool, but that was only a month-long thing. After that, I worked for UPS. And then not until the following summer after that, I worked for Georgia. But I was able to get the Georgia gig. That was an unpaid internship, whatever. But the way I got that was emailing people. Like I emailed whoever had an email on their website, like I was emailing to possibly get a job. Like I had opportunity to work at like volunteer at SMU, Maryland, Georgia, and then there was a chance like I could have worked at Texas State for a little bit too. So um shooting emails like that, like for me, I mean, I was kind of like in that boat too. So I totally like understand it. Like I was shooting my shot, and it's crazy. Like when I graduated, I want to say I would say I sent out 100 emails. I heard back from 10, and I got one interview. It was with Georgia. Crazy, crazy. So I mean, you just never know. Yeah, it really is. It's like a percentage game. Like so, if you do that, well, let me do another 100 emails. Well, you're gonna hear back from 10. You get one interview. Just being persistent. Man.
Now, there are
So
definitely some coaches. Coach Kelly, you're 26. There's definitely some coaches who would still probably use email. So it's all about knowing. I think diversified is key, but I do know with a lot of younger coaches, they tend to gravitate towards more just using X straight up. So some
yeah,
context.
and it's funny because it's funny you call it X. It's like Twitter. I have not adjusted to the whole X Twitter thing. It's all Twitter to me. It's funny because there's actually a high school coach when trying to reach out to him. He didn't have a cell phone and he only communicates by email. So there are people like that, man. So
True. That's true. Okay, so last question here before we kind of start wrapping things up and get into a little bit different of a segment. But for a recruit who you do like, do you watch the full game tape? How important is it for recruits to make sure they're doing everything they can on a full game basis, whether they're making a play or not, whether it's a wide receiver with the ball going the opposite direction? How important is that? Are you guys able to get your hand on full game tapes, and how crucial is that in the evaluation process?
yeah. Game tape is like everything, especially when it comes to like quarterbacks, because like no quarterback has ever put an interception on their highlight tape. So you want to be able to see that on tape. But we have a team full of interns here too that help us cut up film. Our scouting assistants. That's really like our day-to-day work is diving into that game tape, and really seeing like the good, bad, and the ugly. And then that really comes down to like when it's decision time to offer or take a commitment. It's like how does the game tape look? Because that's where I mean, you could have a really good highlight tape, and then you turn on the game tape, and they're terrible. So it really comes down to that, honestly. So
Are you breaking
some
that up
guys have
into 3 segments, into really good, bad, and ugly, and then, like, segmenting it like that for coaches to see?
no. It's just from game to game. Like Huddle allows you to select plays and make a playlist, and it's just in the order of the game. Put yeah, good, bad, and ugly. One of our guys at Georgia that leads the department down there, he would always say when showing a guy to one of our coaches, bump like their best play of the game to the top of the playlist. Because then, like, if the first play of the game is like an interception, like that happens, the coach might just turn off the tape. Now, I'm not saying ours would, but some college coaches would, right? They threw an interception first play, and then like maybe second play, incomplete pass, and then like the rest of the game, they're just absolutely dicing up the defense. 5 touchdowns, good decisions all over the place, right? So it's a lot of our job too. Like when we're presenting to a coach, like we got to put them in there. We're on the kid's side. Like we got to pitch them to the coach, like give the kid the benefit of the doubt too.
So you have the ability to get full games basically of any school.
Full games, pretty much every high school. I know Quick Cut is a school or not a school. It's a program that some schools are using now. It's very similar to Huddle, just creating competition in that space. But yeah, we're able to watch it. Special teams, got to watch all that, seeing if they're able to fly down on kick returns, make tackles. What's their effort look like flying down to special teams? Are they walking down? Are they flying down? Right? And are they playing special teams? That's a lot of the good ones do. A lot of them are returning kicks too, playmaking ability. That's where you can see a lot of that. But yeah, we can see all of that, and that's probably where we make most of our decisions is based off the game tape.
Gotcha. Kim, any follow-up questions on, like, just valuable, value-based stuff?
One thing to add on that too, when it comes to like highlights is like what a player can do, and like that's their potential, and that's what we want to be able to coach them up to be. But then that game tape is like what they are. So.
That's a bar right there, man. We gotta make sure we get that in the short form.
It's kind of like the final screening. I didn't know that. It was the final screening of so you're looking at just the little things as far as, I feel like the highlight tape can capture what you're capable of doing, but
Yeah.
you would be less inclined to take a guy that is walking, or maybe he
Yeah.
loses his cool a lot, just stuff like that.
Yeah, we see stuff like that. It's things that happen during games that don't make a highlight tape, like fights, right?
Hmm.
Stuff like that. I know most schools are required to do the handshake line at the end of the game too. Now, I really don't watch that because there's not really much evaluation you can take away from that. But like sometimes, like people be running around, it's like, what's going on? It's like, oh, there's a fight going on. Um, a lot of times too, like if I'm trying to, I turn on the game tape and I'm trying to watch a guy, and it's like he's not playing, but I see him on the sideline. Is he in crutches? Is he in a sling, or is he just benched? Like what's going on there? So then that creates more questions you gotta be able to answer.
Mm. So, and all that stuff really is gonna matter, like, with the amount of recruits that schools are taking these days when it comes down to, like, what you said earlier, like a tiebreaker. You have 2 receivers who are you're like, "Hey, I think both of these guys can play for us," but, this kid is hustling to the ball, this
Mhm.
kid is making elite backside blocks, this kid is walking all over, this kid is getting into fights, like, that's what matters when it comes down to that, correct?
Going off that, receivers blocking. Is that a good tell of if you're even, like Isaac's saying, you're even. If a guy doesn't really care about blocking, but he'll run as hard as he can when he's the intended receiver. Is that a good tell?
No, it's very good because what's the saying? Like you don't get the rock if you don't block or something.
Another bar.
I remember It's funny because I've wanted to be able to watch. I want to be able to be an NFL scout, and I've been doing this since like 14 years old. Like I would just pick it up as a hobby, watch tape on college guys going to the NFL, and I grew up a Rams fan, so like Sean McVay, I think like a big part of like their offense, like Robert Woods, like he blocked his butt off, right? And I always remember like, yo, if Sean McVay is like this smart guru coach, right, and he's saying like it's super important for receivers to block, I'm like, yo, yeah, receivers they got to be able to block, right? So I've seen like going back to like the ordering of the plays. Like for a receiver, I want to see you catch the ball. I want to see you take end arounds and return punts to be your first plays. But like if you capped it off at the end with like 5 guys that you're putting onto the bench, or like you're pancaking them into the ground or whatever, right? Like that's important to see. So that shows physicality, toughness, play strength, all important.
Because I feel like those explosive runs you watch. I mean, I'm sure a lot of football this weekend, and a lot of slated games that are kicking off. They're just kicked off. Those explosive plays happen when guys block downfield, and it's usually the receivers that are making those
Yeah.
blocks. So
Yeah.
it's the difference between those 10-yard. Okay, you want to be an offense that just moves the chains, or do you want to be the offense
Mhm.
that gets end zone on explosive plays?
Sometimes
So
we're watching a running back, he takes a pitch outside and he breaks to 80 yards. And then you see a receiver put a guy on the bench. It's like, well, who's that receiver? Now I got to pull the roster up on Max Preps. I got to check out his huddle. He's a kid we're recruiting, or not, maybe not a kid we're recruiting, but he's a kid he's a sophomore we don't know about yet. Like, that's a guy, like, hey, get him up here.
Hey, that's what's up. All right. I want to move into our Jesus over football segment. Coach, know that, from what I understand, you're a Christian. You were just at church this morning. I know Coach Fran's a
Yes, sir.
Christian, loves the Bible. So how does that play a role into generally Syracuse football? Like what does that look like for you guys? How important is that for you guys as a staff, also as a roster in general to build that internal camaraderie?
Mm. I first want to say, like, when it comes to like, what you do over there at 5 Star, I think you do it the right way. Like, no shame. You're out there like Jesus, and not necessarily like pushing faith, but like you are open in your faith and no shame behind it. Same thing with Coach Fran over here. He tells our guys, he's like, yo, I'm not going to push you to a certain faith, but I'm going to push you to get deeper in your faith. I mean, we got guys on the team of all religious backgrounds, but Coach Fran, he sends a prayer to the players, the staff every morning before staff meeting. We start with a prayer. Team meeting, we start with a prayer. Practice, we end with a prayer. So, I mean, that's at least 3 times a day that we're together praying, and then he sends us another one on top, and that's every day. So, super important to him. Like you said, I'm Catholic. Went to Catholic mass this morning. Always been. Grew up going to Sunday school and all that. Didn't go to Catholic school or anything like that. Yeah, try to go all the time. Just constant communication with God when I can be. And then I want to talk about favorite Bible verse, Matthew 28:20. When Jesus is going back up to heaven, he's like, I'm surely with you always to the very end of age. He's always beside you. Whether you're going good, bad, wins, loss, injuries, he's right there next to you, feeling all of that. And it's kind of like when I get into not necessarily a bad space, or if I'm in a bad mood, I always try to think towards like that.
Yeah, I think that's important as well too, because I think a lot of, I mean, even Christians, even I've struggled with this in the past of being like with the game of football, like the game of football at the end of the day, it's very fickle. It comes and goes. It doesn't really seem like it's very, it doesn't really seem like it's very heaven based, if you know what I'm saying there. So like how does your faith impact you with what you do on a regular basis? Like how does inspire you to be able to do what you do? You're saying you're doing, stuff that sometimes is
Mm,
redundant. It's just over and over again.
yeah.
So how does that impact you on your day to day, like from a practical standpoint?
Just definitely keeps me level headed too. And then like just like the places that I've been and the opportunities that I've been able to have. I grew up in a small town, was able to work for Clemson, the Bucks, Georgia, now here at Syracuse. Like everything's kind of like going along my plan. Now there's been bumps in the road, like working for UPS. Like at that time, like for me, it's like, am I ever gonna work in football again? Like God's plan is just like this is what He had for me, and now it's like I've been able to do some things, and I don't know what like the future, like long term, right? It looks for me, but I just feel like the way things have been going, I'm just confident in the Lord that it's like I'm gonna be all right. I definitely worry about it a lot less these days than I used to.
I saw a segment this morning. It was an older segment for sure, but so Ty Simpson at Alabama, he's gained a lot of popularity for how well he's playing, but he also more than aside from being a football player, I think he's a great Christian man, and I think he along with a lot of other key players do a great job of representing that very well and leading these guys.
Hmm.
But his story, just short version of his story, was he's been there for a while. This is his fourth year, and he's just gotten the opportunity to start. And so
Yeah.
he had a conversation with his dad during the midst of that somewhere because he obviously could have gone a lot of other places. And he said he's complaining about not playing and whatever, and
Hmm.
circumstances dictating his emotions. And he said, his dad said, how's your faith? And so that was his only question. And so that's kind of going on with your, and that really opened his eyes. And obviously he's doing great now, but
Hmm.
he's winning it more than just football.
Yeah.
And those bumps in the road. There's a verse. It's John 13:7. Jalen Hurts uses it a lot as well. Just right now, you might not know what I'm doing, but later you'll understand. And
Hmm.
so I think that's especially as a football player, man, with all this moving around, and you got the transfer portal, and you got
Yeah.
a lot of newness and a lot of opportunities for things to shake up with your path. I lean on that verse a lot for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
that's a cool story because I mean he was a big time recruit coming out, and then obviously like he stuck it through and was able to. He's doing what he's doing. I think Mac Jones was similar. He had a
Yeah.
similar path. Like he saw things through, and some guys end up leaving and going somewhere else. But everyone's got a different plan, and at the end of the day, I mean it's is what it is. But just Coach Francis, you have faith and hard work. And there's like a saying out there. It's like work super hard as if it's up to you, and then pray super hard as if it's up to God, which really is. But you do both. I mean, you should be able to achieve whatever you want to achieve.
Dropping another bar, man. It's crazy. But that's what we do over here, man. That's why we say Jesus over football. Because I mean, at
Sure.
the end of the day, I mean, you're dealing with big time recruits. You're dealing with kids coming in making money. I deal with big time recruits. Cam's in the world of football. Like it can get distracting. But if you're
Hmm.
faith and over here, I mean, I'm a believer in Jesus. We're all believers in Jesus over here. Your faith has to be more important than the game. Otherwise, the game will always
Hmm.
be the waves that toss you to and fro. But super inspiring, my man. I appreciate that. I want to do one more thing before we leave because look,
Yes, sir.
I was a New York State recruit, man, and I didn't hear a lot. I
Yes.
didn't hear a lot from Syracuse. So I'm gonna put on my
Eh,
tape and I want some answers years later. I'm gonna go
okay.
back in time a little bit and I'm gonna throw out my
Okay.
tape and we're gonna get some answers here. We're gonna see if I was delusional, like one of these
Okay.
delusional recruits we were talking about, or if I had a shot, man. I'm gonna do
All right. Let's
senior
go.
tape too, all right?
Yeah. Let's do it.
I'm so pumped. This is
Oh
this
boy.
is I don't even know how many years running this is. All right, so here's the evaluation, Mr. Kelly. All right. So we're on the huddle,
Here we
right?
go. Yes, sir.
Tell me what you're seeing.
5,000 views. That's pretty impressive. You sent it to a lot of coaches. 6'1", 225. Linebacker, good size. 4'6'5". We'll see. Are you lying? Is it truthful? Came to a camp. Shuttle's pretty good. Vertical 35. That's pretty good. Bench 350. Like I said, probably not super important, but I know I cannot bench 350, so that's tough.
All right. So you want to watch junior or senior film?
We'll watch junior. We'll watch junior. That's I would say most most of our decision making is based off junior season, and then senior evals are also important. But
Peep the sideline here too. But look at the home sideline. This is where I came from, man. And this is also a reason why
I gotta hold this. This is pretty small on my screen, so I gotta like hold this like super close to my face. I'll tell you what, huddle ads are brutal. They're the worst thing in the world. Huddle ads, because we want to talk about 30 seconds. Well, there's 15 of my.
That's
Yeah,
what I was
Nike, I
saying,
mean.
bro. Like I was just about to say that. Like put your stuff on YouTube or something. All right, so I gained an inch here somehow. I went backwards, but
Hey, we'll find out. We'll find out how big and tall you are. Coming off the edge with pod, but stop for me. Is it going for y'all?
It stopped for me.
what?
I was gonna say slow mo. Bad start, Isaac.
Can you see it? Is it going or no?
But hey, like that picture of the screen, the sizing, it's going.
Stopping again.
My
Here we go.
gosh, man. What?
Oh, it stopped again.
All right, I'm gonna come back here and I'm gonna reshare. What a buzzkill.
Yeah, I mean, I can try and share it
Yeah, Cam, you share it. You share it.
if
Then I can
if it doesn't work.
tell you what's going on here.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll tell you what. Shout out to our general manager last year, Nate McNeil. He's out at Illinois now. He would pull us in, and he'll pull up some kid from the past, his tape, like it's like the edge rusher at Louisville, right, out of Florida, and he was like, "Yo, would you have recruited this kid?" And I'm like, honestly, probably not. Like he was too skinny, but he was pretty productive. And one thing about him, he had a real like his motor. Like he had a real strong motor. And then it turns out he's like the ACC sack leader at Louisville. It's like, oh wow.
All right.
All right.
Y'all see it?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, but it's up. Yep.
So this is
All right. So let me.
New York State football. I think there was 14 kids on my team at one point. So just take that with a grain of salt. I'm playing defensive end my junior year, so that's why I'm curious about it. How important is it if you're playing out of position, Coach Kelly? What does that look like? How important is it to get in the right position based on your frame?
It's probably pretty important. Like if you're 6'1", 225, like right away, and I see like D end, I'm thinking like, oh, that's an inside backer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are guys that can end up playing jack, and you end up adding, 30 pounds onto that. You could be 6'1",
Cam, I
250
can't see
pound
this
jack.
yet.
You can't see it.
No, you might have to share the actual tab. I don't know if that's the thing.
It'd be easier if I had 2 monitors going.
I guess this is.
How about this?
Hey, there you
I
go.
can zoom in.
Well, that's good.
Great.
That works.
All right, that works.
Yeah, you're
All
on
right.
it.
Yep.
All right.
Run it back.
Yeah. First play support. We got to make sure we see it.
Okay. All right. Here we go. That's what you all been waiting for. Spill down the line. Off the middle.
Brought him down to the ground immediately. There we go.
This is good little spill right here, little box technique.
Taking on that guy blocking you. 54. he didn't play anywhere. Competition level, that is important.
Look at the pause that, Cam. Pause that last play. Look at the away. That is the bleachers of the away sideline over there. It doesn't extend. It doesn't go past what you're looking at.
It's probably at max capacity right now too.
Absolutely.
You got overflow over here.
Absolutely.
In this area.
Man, this is good New York State football, man.
Yeah. How Coach Kelly, how much do you pay attention to the drip of a player? Is that because
I'll tell you what. Like if we're cutting up tape, it actually makes you real easy to spot. Like if you're the guy with like the yellow arm sleeve, it's like, all right, bet. It's almost like you're in positive graces of it makes me easier to you easier to spot.
Yeah.
He's putting the numbers in the middle of the cut up. Okay.
I got you hooked.
On the edge.
I got you hooked with the first plays. All right, we'll watch the last play here, and then I want to go on my senior tape quick because I was actually playing linebacker.
That's the one. Hey, you might have blown up.
All right. What are your thoughts first and foremost? You can be brutal. That's okay. I'm not here to impress anybody.
This looks like better competition right here though than what?
This is New York State wing T football, man. It don't get no better than that. I think.
Yeah, my high school.
New York State wing T is the pinnacle of football.
We ran the wing T until like I was in the midst of high school, and I played soccer, to be honest with you. I didn't even play football. I just love football.
All right,
Paul, like,
I'm just gonna.
I like watching it. I never really second team all state. See, that's okay to put there.
Yeah, defensive MVP.
3 time.
There we go. All right, here we go. Oh, we got the
come downhill, hit somebody, knockback.
There we go. 55.
Now you're playing inside. Now you're playing true to position. That's quick there. I mean, you got to the backfield fast. Are you wearing 15? Are you're 15 still?
Yeah, he just switched back.
I had a little off.
Did you play offense
play going
too, Isaac?
Yep.
Is that why they had you in 55? Yeah.
Instincts.
Shoot.
Ooh, knockback. I mean, hey, knockback.
This is pathetic.
Cover. Oh. Hey,
Catch.
double catches, man. We want to see catches on the first time.
Dude, so this game I had to put on someone else's 65 because we had such little players on our team and our lineman got hurt, so I had to put his jersey over my jersey.
I was gonna say you look less athletic at 65.
All right, that's enough of that.
All right. Okay. Mine. I got mine ready right here. It's
Can you show a New York guy some love though, coach? Like he's a PWO offer. Like, can we get something out of that?
Dude.
PWOs. I mean, I don't know if they really exist these days or not. I'm still kind of confused. But
I'll have to go drop 65 grand on tuition a year. It's not that beast, but
All right. All of this stuff is unnecessary.
my fake 40 was way better than yours, Cam.
Dude, yeah, you fudged the numbers like crazy.
he already zoomed in. He did a quick zoom.
Yeah.
I didn't even get a chance to peep.
Dude, I was at least honest, man.
So sometimes like a mid-play circle is like if you're not in the frame, like that is kind of it can be appropriate. Or like right before a big hit. For like O-line, D-line especially, that's like super important
Yeah.
to have it at the start of the play. Here we go, 3.9 GPA.
Yeah, there we go. Recruitable. Dude, these guys were so bad.
Hey.
Well, you see, you're playing in space the first couple plays.
Hey, Cam scored a touchdown.
I didn't pass drop at all in high school. I was never even taught how to pass drop. So
Yeah, I wasn't either. We spot dropped.
That other backer there, 16, that was a nice little move by him.
Yeah. I was along with 5 people to block that kick.
I'm seeing touchdown production, special teams plays. Isaac, I might have to go with Cam.
It's crazy, dude. Cam, if you lie about your numbers a little more, you might have a better chance.
I might have. Dude, this guy's in the NFL right now. This running back, Keaton Mitchell.
Who's that?
Keaton Mitchell.
Who was it? Oh, Keaton Mitchell. Oh, yeah, he quick.
Yeah.
Cam, if you got with 5-star football recruiting, we would have been able to help you out.
I know. Where were you at
Crazy.
6 years ago, man? All right, we get last one. I don't know.
Or that's a retired number here at Syracuse, man. I mean, maybe we'll take it out for you. We'll dust it off for you.
Be back, dude. That's funny.
All right, well, Coach Kelly, man, we appreciate you. I'm so pumped to get these clips out just because they're gonna be so.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, no, that's fun. Always getting. Dude, we've pulled up some of our coaches and like Tony G in the scout department. We've pulled up his like on senior night. He had a 5 touchdown game. So how many times have I watched that now? Like 3 times. And Miles White, our receivers coach, he played in the NFL in college. Dude, he told us about the whole Josh Norman OBJ fight, like that whole game, like where they're going back and forth. He was kind of involved with the little, like he got pushed up in a pile. Guess who he got pushed up against? Luke Kuechly, and then they got into it a little bit. It's kind of funny just going back and seeing stuff like that because I remember watching that game. I mean, I was probably at high school or college, right? So, but
well, hey, dude, we appreciate it a ton. We appreciate you taking the time today, answering all these awesome questions, dude. So pumped to put this stuff out, but yeah, man. Anything else?
No, I appreciate y'all for having me on. I got to go check out these NFL scores, see how my fantasy teams are looking.
Yes, sir, bro. Well, I'll probably send you a follow-up at some point this week about something. So
yeah, that's true. Probably. Hey, good.
All right, guys. God bless now. I appreciate y'all.